The Curtiss P-36 Hawk's real significance lay in its role as a technological bridge between the interwar and modern combat eras. It trained a generation of pilots and engineers and paved the way for high-performance World War II fighters. Its clean lines and robust construction marked the end of the biplane era and set design precedents for the next decade of military aviation. The P-36 originated as the Curtiss Model 75, designed by Don R. Berlin to meet a 1935 U.S. Army Air Corps requirement for a new interceptor. The airframe employed an enclosed cockpit, retractable undercarriage, and a radial engine, innovations at a time when many fighters remained fabric-covered biplanes. Despite early teething issues, it provided valuable experience that directly informed the later and more famous Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. The P-40 entered service in 1940 and saw combat in nearly every theater of World War II. It was notably flown by the Flying Tigers in China, by the Royal Air Force in North Africa, and by the United States Army Air Forces in the Pacific and Mediterranean. Its reliability under harsh conditions and ability to absorb damage made it a dependable workhorse despite facing more advanced opponents later in the war. The P-40 was developed from the earlier Curtiss P-36 Hawk, replacing its radial engine with an inline Allison V1710. This configuration improved aerodynamics and allowed higher speeds at low to medium altitudes. Although it lacked a turbo supercharger for high-altitude performance, the aircraft excelled in dive speed, structural strength, and ground attack durability. By the end of the war, more than 9,500 P-39s had been built. Though overshadowed by later fighters such as the P-51 Mustang and P-47 Thunderbolt, the Aerocobra's innovative design and Soviet service record secured its place as a distinctive and effective World War II combat aircraft. The P-39 featured an unconventional design, placing its engine behind the pilot, driving the propeller via a long shaft. This allowed the installation of a powerful 37mm cannon firing through the propeller hub. The layout provided a streamlined nose and stable gun platform, but complicated maintenance and limited high-altitude performance due to the absence of a turbo supercharger. The King Cobra could reach speeds exceeding 400 miles per hour, 640 kilometers per hour, and offered better handling than many contemporary fighters. Despite limited U.S. combat service, its contribution to Soviet operations and advanced aerodynamics made it an important transitional design leading toward post-war jet development. Surviving examples remain in museums and private collections as rare artifacts of late-war American engineering. While the U.S. Army Air Forces used the P-63 mainly for training and target towing, large numbers were delivered to the Soviet Union under the Lend-Lease program. Soviet pilots employed the type effectively in low and medium altitude roles, particularly in ground attack and air defense missions. A smaller number also served with Free French units in the post-war period. The Lockheed P38 Lightning was a twin-engine, twin-boom fighter aircraft used extensively by the United States during World War II. Designed by Lockheed and its lead engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson, it was one of the most distinctive and versatile combat aircraft of the war. The P-38's unique twin-boom design housed its engines and tail surfaces, with the pilot and armament centered in a pod between them. Its configuration offered stability, long range, and concentrated firepower from nose-mounted machine guns and cannon. Designed initially as a high-altitude interceptor, it evolved into a multi-role platform capable of ground attack, escort, and reconnaissance missions. The P-43's design directly informed the development of Republic's subsequent P-47 Thunderbolt, one of World War II's most successful fighters. Although the Lancer itself was quickly outclassed, its role as a technological bridge marked a key transitional point in American fighter evolution from pre-war to modern wartime designs. Produced in limited numbers, around 270 units, the Lancer served mainly with the U.S. Army Air Corps for training and reconnaissance. Some were exported to China under Lend-Lease, where they saw brief frontline action against Japanese forces. The aircraft's high-altitude capabilities made it useful for photo reconnaissance missions early in the war. The Thunderbolt saw extensive service with U.S. and Allied air forces in Europe, the Pacific, and the Mediterranean. Units such as the 56th Fighter Group achieved high aerial victory counts in the European theater. Later models, including the P47D and P47N, extended range and performance, ensuring the type's effectiveness through the war's end. The P47 featured an all-metal monoplane design and an exceptionally large air-cooled engine that produced up to 2,000 horsepower. Weighing nearly 8 tons when loaded, it was among the heaviest single-engine fighters of the era. Despite its bulk, the Thunderbolt could exceed 430 miles per hour, 700 kilometers per hour, and perform high-altitude escort missions thanks to a turbo-supercharged power plant. The Mustang's combination of speed, range, and versatility made it the premier piston engine fighter of World War II. It destroyed 4,950 enemy aircraft in Europe, more than any other U.S. fighter, and remained in service worldwide into the 1980s. Surplus Mustangs later became prized civilian warbirds and air racers, ensuring the aircraft's enduring fame as a symbol of American aeronautical excellence. The Mustang originated when the British Purchasing Commission asked North American Aviation to build Curtiss P-40S under license. Instead, chief designer Edgar Schmood created a new aircraft, the NA-73X, using a laminar flow wing for low drag and a ventral radiator design. Early versions with Allison engines lacked high-altitude power, but the addition of the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine in 1942 transformed the aircraft's performance, resulting in the P-51B/C models. Entering combat in 1944, the P-61 served in both the European and Pacific theaters. It proved effective against enemy bombers, night raiders, and occasionally ground targets. Crews from the U.S. Army Air Forces and Marine Corps credited the aircraft with numerous aerial victories, including engagements with Japanese aircraft during the final stages of the war. Legacy and preservation. The P-61 demonstrated the effectiveness of airborne radar and influenced the development of post-war all-weather interceptors. Although retired by 1950, its innovations laid groundwork for the radar-equipped jet fighters of the early Cold War. Several examples survive in museums, including a fully restored P-61B known as Midnight Blossom displayed at the National Air and Space Museum. The F-4F Wildcat entered frontline service in 1940 and was the U.S. Navy's main carrier fighter at the outbreak of war in 1941. It achieved key victories at the battles of Coral Sea, Midway, and Guadalcanal. Naval aviators developed effective thatch-weave tactics to counter the Zero's maneuverability advantage. The aircraft's reliability and resilience helped preserve U.S. carrier strength during the war's critical first year. Variants and legacy major variants included the F-4F3, initial production, F-4F4, folding wings for carrier storage, and FM2, lighter version built by General Motors' Eastern Aircraft Division. The Wildcat was gradually replaced by the more powerful Grumman F6F Hellcat from 1943, but continued serving on escort carriers through war's end. Its legacy endures as a symbol of naval endurance during the Pacific War's early, most uncertain phase. The principal production models were the F6F3 and F6F5, the latter featuring a refined canopy, stronger engine, and optional radar for the F6F5N night fighter version. The Royal Navy operated the type under Lend-Lease as the Hellcat F Mark I/II. Post-war conversions included reconnaissance and radio-controlled target drone versions, F6F-5P, F6F-5K. Legacy and preservation phased out of U.S. frontline service by 1949. The Hellcat's durability and combat success earned it legendary status among naval aviators. Surviving examples appear in museums worldwide and at air shows in restored flying condition. Embodying the peak of piston engine carrier fighter design and world, early trials exposed visibility and landing bounce issues that delayed full carrier deployment. The Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm refined landing techniques, enabling safe carrier use, while U.S. Marine units exploited the Corsair's strength from island airstrips. Squadrons such as VMF-214, Black Sheep Squadron, under Major Gregory Boyington and VF-17 Jolly Rogers, became legends. The aircraft achieved over 2,000 enemy kills for 189 losses and earned the Japanese nickname Whistling Death. Chief Engineer Rex Beisel's team devised the Corsair's distinctive inverted gull wing to accommodate a massive 13-foot propeller while keeping landing gear short and strong for carrier landings. Its aerodynamic cleanliness and flush riveting enabled it to exceed 400 miles per hour in 1940 tests, the first U.S. fighter to do so. The combination of rugged structure, high roll rate, and heavy armament made it deadly in dogfights and ground attack.